We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Paul Konerko, Adam Dunn, Alex Rios, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Bob Melvin's Red Hot Oakland Athletics. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the third of this four-game set and the third of the seven-game homestand. Four of these guys finished it off with 3 against Toronto. But in the first two, we lost the first one 5-4 in 10 innings. And then last night we had a 4-3 loss. But in both those games, we had a 3-0 lead, just couldn't hold it. As a matter of fact, we played Oakland 5 times this year, and they've won them all.
It's been a very difficult time against Oakland, and when we show you this graphic, you'll see why. Batting average, well, Oakland way ahead. Runs, obviously more. Home runs, that's a surprising stat. And ERA, the A's have been terrific. Our ball club, mere mortals. So hopefully today things turn around. It's a battle of left-handers, Tommy Malone and Johnny Danks, and hopefully John will have his stuff today.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer or go to shophonda.com for current offers. By AT&T. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Ford. Proud sponsor of your Chicago White Sox. Check out America's freshest lineup of fuel-efficient vehicles at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
We honored and are happy to host a very special guest at the ballpark. On April 15th, as the world watched, Boston was attacked during the historic city's most iconic event, the Boston Marathon. 2 bombings and a subsequent manhunt left scores of innocent people injured and 4 lives lost, including Officer Sean Collier, Martin Richard, Lou Lindsay, and Crystal Campbell. Joining us today is a survivor of that bombing during the Boston Marathon. She lost her left leg, as well as her close friend, Crystal Campbell. 3 days after the bombings, President Obama visited her at the hospital and promised that his friends in Chicago would take care of her when she visited our town this summer. Today, Karen Rand went to the pitcher's mound for a ceremonial first pitch. We're going to step out, take a few minutes, and we'll be back with today's game after these messages. to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Today's game's available in Spanish on your SAP audio setting, provided by 97.5 FM ESPN Deportes, Chicago's first and only FM Spanish language sports radio station. It's a beautiful day for baseball, 65 degrees at game time, and let's take a look at how Bob Melvin's going to line up his Athletics today. Coco Crisp leading it off with Josh Reddick elevated to the 2 spot. Then it's Cespedes, Donaldson, the villain of yesterday with the grand slam, Lowry, Fryman, Smith, Norris, and Adam Rosales, the Chicago area boy at shortstop and hitting 9. The defense and how they'll line up behind Johnny Danks, Viciedo, Diaz, and Rios in the outfield. Keppinger, Ramirez, Beckham, and Adam Dunn playing first base today with Tyler Flowers and his 3 hits last night, getting the nod behind the plate, and Johnny Danks on the hill. 0-2 the ERA, a little above 5.5 on for his 4th start. Opponent's hitting .270. The umpires for the game today. James Hoy is behind the plate. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, is at first. Bob Davidson at second, and Jim Reynolds is at third. So a chance to win the 3rd game of a 4-game series and snap the run of the A's against our ball club. It stands at 5-0 in the season series, so we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Stevie, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here. WGN Sports, so happy you could join us for Game 3 of this 4-game set. Yes, Coco Crisp will lead it off. Coco, a .288 lifetime hitter against us with 10 homers. That's the most he has against any opponent. And 41 RBIs. Wow. 91 games. First pitch strike. And Johnny's going to have to keep that changeup down. Last time out against Seattle, pitched okay except for 3 changeups he left up, and they got killed. 1-1 the count. Crisp at .287, 6 homers, and 22 driven in. There's a changeup.
And it's a good one. 9 miles an hour disparity between his fastball and that changeup at 80 miles an hour.
And Beckham got a piece of it, and that was it. So it'll be a base hit. Leadoff man aboard. He is 12 for 14 in stolen bases.
Gordon made a good effort, but hitting off the dirt, that ball took a high kick. He was able to just barely stop it from going to the outfield, but Crisp is aboard, and that's never very good.
May have got him on the wrist, on his left wrist, the one that was operated on. So here is Josh Reddick out of Savannah, Georgia. Born there, I should say. He grew up in Guyton. Reddick 3 for 8 with a long home run in this series. Comes in. Very slow start. 190, 2 homers, and 18 knocked in. So the A's are just waiting for this young man to get it cranked up, which he will. He had 32 of them last year.
He was a middle-of-the-order hitter, and because he's swinging the bat a whole lot better and using left field for the first time in a long time, he's elevated to the 2 spot today.
3-0 the count. Come back and get him. No walks. Let's just don't get in a whole bunch of trouble right here.
Crisp 12 out of 14 in stolen bases.
There's a strike.
Now John might want to use his best move to first base if they're even thinking about running with Crisp. See Adam a couple of steps off the bag.
So trouble of brewing after 2 hitters.
Robin Ventura back today. He was attending the graduation of his daughter, who will happily go on to college in September. And in his place, Don Cooper yesterday, Mark Parent the day before, both 0-1 as managers this year. There's a look at Coop.
And here's a look at Cespedes. He's hitting .241, 13 homers and 35 knocked in. With 2 homers in game 1 of this set. Takes it up high.
Cespedes has only grounded into 3 double plays this year. A testament to a couple of different things. 1, he is very fast, and 2, he does hit a lot of fly balls.
So good speed aboard. And that changeup had him out in front. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gap, send 400 straightaway center.
Cespedes, who got off to a terribly slow start, heating it up recently. He hit .292 last year, so he can hit.
And a 90-mile-an-hour fastball up out of the zone, and the count 1-2.
Got a little something extra on the fastball, kept it on the outer third, and threw it by him.
And that is just foul. As I mentioned, come in hitting at .250 with a 3.72 ERA. They are 20-15 on the road, 18-10 at home. I think you know by now they're sitting in first place. The division they won last year by a half game over Texas. And that is fouled back, and it's going to be a souvenir.
Texas battling at Toronto. They're in extra innings, the bottom of the 10th. Texas had the bases loaded, nobody out in the top of the 10th, and didn't score.
Well, we know that song.
And we've seen that all too frequently, especially during this recent stretch.
He gone. Gas upstairs. 1 out.
A higher than high fastball, and Cespedes, who isn't the most patient hitter, swings through it. So he goes down for the 50th time this year.
And here's Donaldson.
Good spot for a ground ball. He's grounded into 8 double plays this year, leading the team in that dubious department.
Well, here's what he did yesterday. Sox leading 3-0. Sacks packed with athletics. First career grand slam. There's the strike. 1-1 to count.
Donaldson, originally a draft choice of the Chicago Cubs. He was a catcher in those days. Eventually shipped to Oakland. The principal coming back to the Cubs, Rich Harden.
And there's base hit. Dropped by Diaza. So that'll be an error. And it's 1-0.
It's going to be his second error in as many days. He made one in left field last night. He makes one here, enabling Reddick to go to third. He had stopped at second, but it's run batted in number 42 for Donaldson.
Well, Alejandro's really been having some problems defensively.
John tried to cut that ball in on the hands of Donaldson, but he got it away.
That's his 5th error. Runners at the corners, 1 out, and here's Jed Lowry, the other switch hitter in this lineup. Coco Crisp and Lowry. Lowry hitting at .311, 3 homers, 24 knocked in. A's have a terrific distribution of RBIs in this lineup. 22, 18, 35, 41, 42. Now 24, 24. That's one reason they're in first place. Okay. Strong arm of Beckham. Yes. So he gets out of it relatively cheap with a couple of hits, a walk, an error, but they lead at 1-0.
Leading off with Ramirez and Rios. Ball the DH in the middle with Dunn, Viciedo, Kemminger, Beckham, and rounded out with Tyler Flowers catching it in the 9th spot. The defense, and now they'll line up behind Malone. Cespedes, Crisp, and Reddick in the outfield. Donaldson, Rosales, Lowry, and Fryman in the infield. Derek Norris behind the plate. And soft-tossing Tommy Malone on the hill. 6-5 this year, and ERA up close to 4 in this, his 13th start. He leads the A's ball club in giving up home runs with 12, so that's encouraging. He's always around the plate, and his fastball is going to top out around 88, but he has an excellent straight change which he'll throw to either right or left-handers, and he'll throw at any count.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. So here's Diaza. Hitting at .262, 7 homers, 28 knocked in. There's the strike. 26 years old. 6 feet, 205 out of Agua Dulce, California.
Malone came over from the Washington Nationals with Brad Peacock, Derek Norris, and a minor leaguer, A.J. Cole, for Gio Gonzalez and a minor league pitcher, Rob Gilliam. December 13th of 11.
3 balls and a strike. And a big thank you. Once again, a great job done by John Vincent, our national anthem. Full count. She's said 6 errors now for Diaza. And there is the leadoff walk. Well, with the leadoff man aboard, let's check out our picks to click. Jim Angio, our directing crew. We'll Tyler. Steve's going with Vicieto, and J.J. Shearer and I, and all the great folks at Ditka's. We're going to go with Keppinger. So here's Alexei. Hitting at .268 a homer. He's driven in 12. 1 for 8 in this series, and 1 for 3 lifetime off Malone.
Malone has got to work the inside part of the plate because he throws so many changeups that he wants to establish that he will go into the right-handers. And if he does stay away with the change or his fastball, hitting it to the right side is a pretty good idea.
There's the change up out in front. Very quickly, 0-2 with Rios on deck.
Malone, not really an expressive pitcher. In fact, he's a lot like great Tommy Glavine in that respect. You look at him, you never know if he's got bases loaded and nobody out, or if he's throwing a no-hitter through 6. First 3 starts, he was pretty good. Then the next 5 starts, he didn't get any offensive support. The ERA is not bad. Now he's 3-0 in the last 4 starts, but as you can see, this Oakland team is scoring him a lot of runs.
Watch out.
That ball's on the outfield side of the first base bag. There's a very good chance that Alejandro would have been out. He was leaning the wrong way. It was a bad throw to first. As you can see, looked like he was going.
Softly hit, and I doubt it. So 1 out.
Actually trying to pull that straight change, and when you do that, you are going to roll out to the left side. Lowry didn't get much on the throw. One of the reasons is Diaza was right on top of him, and they couldn't complete the double play.
Here's Alex at .289, 10 homers and 31 knocked in.
Alexi's been by far our best base stealer. With that in mind, Malone goes over to first base to try to cut a step or so off his lead. 13 for 14.
And there's a strike. Another strike. So the count 0-2.
This Oakland team has taken over first place largely because they've crushed their own division. In the West, they're 20-8, aided by going 9-0 against the Houston Astros, who just moved in to the American League West.
Close pitch goes Malone's way. 2 down. So he'll bring up Paulie. Paulie did not play yesterday. Comes in hitting at .228, 5 homers and 21 knocked in.
Looks like Alex spent the entire at bat looking for a changeup. and saw nothing but fastballs.
Well, that's where the catcher can be. The captain, so to speak. Being perceptive enough to feel and sense against Malone when the guy's sitting on his changeup.
And I think you're always surprised when Malone does go to a fastball, which is less than overpowering, but looks a lot better because of the legitimacy of that changeup.
Well, you've got to, when you go into a game against Malone, at least what we've seen of it, you got to try to beat him on his fastball. And the way you do that is you move off the plate. You move off the plate if you're a right-handed hitter, and you look for the fastball out over the plate. So if you're off the plate more, you're going to stay on the pitch longer, and if you do get the changeup, then you have a better chance of getting it. But you hit off his fastball.
I would assume you would approach most pitchers hitting off his fastball. In the case of Malone, you know he's not going to be able to throw it by you if you're looking for it. Fastball doesn't have that much on it.
Well, you do, but you wouldn't hit off of Steve Stone sitting on his fastball all the time.
No,
You'd sit on his curveball.
I threw,
and you wouldn't do it off this guy. You're going to lay that ball into center field. And that'll retire the side. After one, it is 1-0 Athletics. One nothing bad guys here in the top of the second. It'll be Fryman, Smith, and Norris.
Fryman, the big guy, has swung the bat very well against our ball club in the limited time we've seen him.
2-0 the count. This is not going to do John any good being behind in the count. He walked Reddick last inning. There's the strike.
John's always done very well against this Oakland team. At lifetime, he's 5-1 against them with an ERA of 2.26.
Beckham.
Aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
That'll bring up Seth Smith, the DH, hitting at 275, 5 homers and 24 knocked in.
And you can tell what Bob Melvin thinks about the splits for John Danks, because you don't usually see a left-handed designated hitter against a left-hand pitcher.
Well, since Melvin's been over there, everything he's done has turned out golden, winning 94 games and the division last year. Off to another good start, leading division here on June 8th. Gene Woodling and Hank Bauer really started something way back when with the Yankees.
You talking about the platoon system?
Yep. Bauer was an outstanding right-handed hitter. Woodling was an outstanding left-handed hitter. So Casey wanted to play them both. Casey Stengel, the manager. And that's how this platoon got started. Gap out there in right center. Yes, he did. He did, and he gone. So that is out number 1, second strikeout. And if you're looking for a flexible ticket plan for the season, Sox Pick 7 and Pick 14 plans let you select the games you want, including great matchups, promotions, and giveaways. So 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Derek Norris, 0 for 8 in the series. Breaking ball strike.
And Norris in the platoon system behind the plate with John Jason. Probably overall is a better hitter. Norris a better catcher.
And that should be a can of corn. So 2 out, and that'll bring up 30-year-old shortstop, Chicago. Born here, Adam Rosales. 3 for 7 in the series with a homer. That won the game on Thursday night.
And he certainly has been a thorn in our side during the course of this short series between the two teams.
Well, he has played well against us since he plays against us. And when he plays against us.
He keyed a 4-run 6th inning. Started off with a base hit, followed by a base hit by Lowry, a walk to Cespedes, and that opened the door for Donaldson's grand slam.
Yeah, his numbers don't show it. You couldn't tell it by his numbers. Hitting at 225, 40 at bats. His 9 hits, and probably 6 or 7 of the 9 have been very hurtful. 2 homers, which won a game, one of them, and 4 RBIs, which probably 3 of them won a game.
And he's got friends and family at the game today. His mother, a big fan of our Sox. He's got some surprising power, especially when he's looking for the ball middle in.
Well, he's got one of the best top hands in the American League. It amazes me. He's hitting at 232, and with a top hand like that, his approach, if he had. There goes the runner, and he gone. A changeup will take care of that, and we'll go to the bottom of the second, trailing 1-0.
WGNSports.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to collect all the up-to-the-minute stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by St. Xavier University. Success with purpose. Log on to www.sxu.edu to check out the available undergraduate and graduate degree options.
Read that a little faster.
I'll try to get it in before Adam steps in.
.idud. There is ball one to Adam Dunn. 0 for 8 in the series, hitting at 156, 13 homers and 31 knocked in.
This might be a left-hander he can deal with because he doesn't have that much of a fastball. Adam this year, a lot like 2 years ago, and unlike last year, has really struggled against the left-handers. And from the blimp, we'll show you the shift. That curveball normally is 68, but his slider, which he's gone to over the cutter, is in the mid-70s.
Two and two the count.
Malone and Kurt Young felt that his cutter was staying too flat and didn't have that sharp break that he really needed. So he went back to the slider to go with his very big slow curve. Here's a look at the fine pitching coach of this Oakland team, Kurt Young, who spent a year with Boston before coming back and has done a whale of a job with this staff.
Good eye. Hale. That ball hit hard, deep. Chris back. Looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. Number 14 for the big man, and it's a 1-1 tie.
Here's our fourth drive of the game, and it's with a 3-2 count. He gets a fastball out away, and his fourth hit against left-handers, with 3 of them leaving the ballpark, makes it a 1-1 game.
And Tanks can't get that change up.
That just pads the lead by Tommy Malone and giving up the most home runs on this staff. He's now given up 13.
That didn't take long. And bring your family to the ballpark for our all-new Family Sundays presented by the University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. Tickets start as low as $5 and parking is just $10. Former players from the 83 team will be in attendance, and activities for kids include pregame player autographs and a postgame run around the bases, weather permitting, and the Sox and Comer Children's Hospital teaming up to promote a healthy lifestyle and combat childhood obesity. Clevinger hitting at 228. There's that changeup. And now make it 226. So 2 out. And that'll bring it Beckham.
It was interesting if Clevinger would have pulled that ball, because Donaldson was racing to try to tie his shoe as Malone was in his windup. Donaldson was able to get it accomplished, but it was squibbed off the end of the bat right back to Malone. Our ball club saw Malone once last year. Malone and the A's won the game, but this is the first run our ball club has ever scored off it.
I'm ready to say we didn't do anything.
Nope, zippo.
One 3-0 for their guys. 1-1-1 for our guys. I'm going to say souvenir in the mezzanine section.
Gordon's been looking pretty good since coming back. He wears a pad over the hamate bone. And as you can see, last 4 games, hitting up over 400. And hitting to all fields.
Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Of course, with that home run by Dunn, the Alex Nelius family will give another generous donation to White Sox charities in loving memory of Ursula. There's that changeup.
Right off the camera. And hopefully the shots from the third base side won't be affected. You got a little dent. Gordon will get a bill. He'll be fine with it.
Oh, nice play on a wicked one-hopper. Brought his glove.
Good thing to do because that was a rocket protecting the family. Those Wildcats have good hands.
And that changeup hit into right center field. But 14th homer of the year for Big Adam Dunn. This game is tied at 1. Top of the order here in the top of the third in this 1-1 tie. Coco Crisp, who singled and scored in the first.
Crisp, a switch hitter, much better with much more power from the left side.
Got him. Beautiful play and recovery by Beckham and the strong arm of Gordon.
The key here is don't panic when you drop the baseball. Because Crisp hit it hard and was turned around in the batter's box, Gordon stays right with it. And even with the speed of Crisp, he can't beat the throw. He realized he still had a shot, and he got him. Good play.
Gordon, Nick Franklin. Robinson Cano about the only three that could have made that play.
Yeah, once you bobble it, you figure Crisp is going to get down there to beat the play, but he did get turned around in the batter's box.
So here's Reddick, who walked. Three and one to count. That's a can of corn. Check out the White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for over 34 years. So to join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
Johnny Danks pitched Cespedes very well the first time up. He didn't give him a good look at a fastball. Every fastball was up. He expanded his zone, which Cespedes is prone to do. He's walked just 18 times in 196 at bats. And he established the changeup away.
Takes ball one. Curveball strike.
That's one of the few curves that John has thrown today. He doesn't mix in too many of them. When he does throw it, it's pretty effective.
And a changeup.
And Oakland probably wouldn't have signed Cespedes if they hadn't agreed to a 4-year deal. The teams that were pursuing him wanted much more. But he signed through 2015 with a chance to really cash in big after that.
Cleveland leading the Tigers 1-0, bottom of the second in Detroit. 2 out and a full count. Change up, he gone. And we'll go to the bottom of the third, tied at 1. Saturday, July 27th, come see our Sox take on Kansas City at 6:10. All fans are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Tyler Flowers will lead it off. Tyler 4 for 7 in the series with a homer. His average up to 216, 5 homers and 15 driven in. Gets fisted on that one. Crisp coming on and makes the catch.
That was a great jump by Coco Crisp. He does cover a lot of ground. And that's one of the reasons why they shifted Cespedes to left. This looked like a base hit when it left the bat. So Tyler Flowers, who went 3 for 3 in last night's game, bidding for his 4th hit in a row, only to be denied.
And a big congratulations and happy 36th anniversary to the biggest Sox fans in Beardstown, Kevin and Roberta Dennis. Roberta, you gotta be a heck of a lady. 36 years.
Donaldson in very close at third, taking away a prospective bunt.
Jacks it up. Alejandro walked his first trip.
His power numbers are pretty good for a leadoff hitter. 7 home runs. He's driven in 28. And the walk the first time was a good sign. That's just the 18th walk of the year. Last 8 games, he's been one of the hottest of all the Sox hitters. A robust 378 batting average.
Watch out, Devo. 2-2.
Good reflexes by Darryl Boston.
Vanessa Pye. Two down.
Well, around baseball, a very bad break for former Sox pitcher Daniel Hudson, currently residing with the Diamondbacks. He had Tommy John surgery, trying to come back from it after having a big year down there a couple of years back, and he re-injured that elbow. He's going to have to go through a second Tommy John surgery. That becomes pretty difficult for the young man.
Yeah, and he's such a nice young man. You hate to see it with anybody, but especially really good people.
And he was just starting to come into his own. He was one of the mainstays in the year that Ian Kennedy had that big year. But injuries have forced him on the shelf.
And there's the strike. Alexei grounded out softly to his counterpart, Adam Rosales. And a count 2-2.
Our Xfinity pitch tracks, you'll see where the 4 shows up. Right on top of the 3.
There's a little flare. Caught. So a 1-2-3 inning, and we are into the fourth. As Talty Chevrolet for their support of the Morris Athletic Association. Talty Chevrolet and your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana dealers are supporting over 30,000 young ball players in their communities through the Chevy Youth Baseball Program. Since 2010, the Chicago area Chevy dealers have been providing these local youth leagues with equipment kits, instructional clinics, and much needed financial support. So once again, from the big leagues to the youth league, Chevy is truly the official vehicle of baseball. Donaldson takes breaking ball strike. He singled in Chris back in the first inning. We got ourselves a 1-1 tie here in the top of the fourth if you're just tuning in. Off the end of the bat, backhand action.
In between innings, Southpaw celebrating his birthday. Very young fellow. His parents a whole lot greener and furrier than he is, but he'll grow into it. There's a look at the paw, delighting the kids.
And here's a look at Jed Lowry, who hit into a 6-4-3 double play in the first inning. One and one to count.
Lowry, a line drive hitter from the right side. He's got some pop from the left side. All three of his home runs have come as a left-hand hitter. That's what he's been doing over the last 16 games, and it's been very impressive for an Oakland team that seems to be getting better and better.
Two and two. Taking a look down on the farm. With Charlotte, Josh Fegley leading the ball club in hitting, home runs, and RBIs. Josh hitting 324, 12 homers, 35 knocked in. Softly hit to Alexei. So Josh having himself a big year. Birmingham. Trace Thompson starting to get it warmed up. after just a horrific start. Andy Wilkins with 39 RBIs. Dan Black 40 RBIs. As that's hit left side. That didn't take long. 1, 2, 3, and we'll go to the bottom of the fourth. One tie here in the bottom of the fourth. It'll be Rios, Konerko and Dunn. And talking about our minor league situation down in Birmingham. Eric Johnson, good-looking young right-hander, 6-2 with a 2.53 ERA in 12 starts. Taylor Thompson, 3-0 with a 2.20 ERA. He's 8 for 8 in save opportunities. Courtney Hawkins down at Winston-Salem with 10 homers, 27 knocked in. And of course, the youngster we've been following all year down at Kannapolis. Micah Johnson. Micah, all he's doing is in 323, 30 RBIs, and 47 stolen bases. Yes. Alex can't get it. He only saw 3 pitches his first at bat when he struck out. And the count 0-2 here.
So all fastballs the first time. A couple of off-speed pitches this time.
That one at 87 straightens him up a little bit. Off the end of the bat.
Aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. To call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Here's Paulie. Paulie went out deep to center.
That is Blues Fest. Downtown around the fountain. Just starting to take shape and draw a whole lot of people.
That's a beautiful thing. And that's ball 1.
And with the Indians falling 3.5 games and back to Detroit, news out of Detroit, Anibal Sanchez scratched with a stiff shoulder. So he was a mainstay in that rotation, and they're going to lose him for at least 1 start.
21 to count to Konerko.
Detroit leading the Indians now 4-1. That game just in the bottom of the second. That's what it looks like heading into this one. With Minnesota 6 back, Kansas City 6.5, and our Sox 8 games back heading into action today.
Well, one thing about it hadn't been bad luck. There were 8 games back. We deserve to be exactly where we are.
Well, in order to really put it together, Robin Ventura and his team, along with the staff and everybody else, is going to have to tighten things up. Better base running. The defense has improved somewhat, but better defense certainly. Of course, we've talked about the offensive woes, and I'm sure as the weather heats up, so will the offense, but better be soon. That's a lone tally today. Adam Dunn, his home run in the second.
That's a base hit. Attaboy, Paulie. So the 1-out single. So here's Adam. And let's take a look at his 420th home run.
A no-doubter just to the left of center. It tied the game at 1 where we still stand.
That strike evens the count.
Billy Williams, the Hall of Famer, next on the list. Adam 6 away.
Good check. Good eye. And a count 2-1. Pitch at 86, couldn't get it. 2-2.
Wasn't velocity, it was location. High fastballs, not to the liking of Adam Dunn, and that was the upper part of the strike zone.
Got him. 2 down.
As soon as Norris called a change, he had a pretty good idea that Adam would be in for some difficulties. He calls for the change. He wants it low and away. He puts it right in the glove in a perfect spot.
There's Tank. He only saw 3 pitches and was called out. Takes it on the inside corner. That's right off the end of the bat. Booted, 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 and everybody's safe.
It's E1 that keeps the inning alive. And we'll see if Jeff Keppinger can take advantage of it. For the second time today, a ball is squibbed off the end of the bat. And Malone tries to trap it on a short hop.
Yeah, there's a call right there that could go either way.
I think it's a tough play, especially the way he played it.
It can go either way. I know if I'm scoring it, it's a base hit. If you're scoring it, it's an error.
I can agree with you there.
Your pitchers are all alike.
Well, if you make a mistake, you just don't want it to cost you earned runs. But from a pitching standpoint, when you make a bad play and you know you probably should have made it, you've got to regroup your concentration and get the next hitter, or you lose the lead.
That's outside to Keppinger, who hit a little comebacker to Malone. So 2 on, 2 out.
And the advantage here for Oakland is that, unlike last night, Cespedes is playing left field. He's got a cannon for an arm, as does Reddick in right. They're both accurate, crisp. They run out all day, even with Paulie, most likely.
Oh, now he's got the catbird seat. Three and 0 with Beckham on deck. Taking all the way. Ball hit hard, but foul. They're into the 14th inning in Toronto. And there's a Doc Edwards shot right there. Meanwhile, we're still tied at 1 going to the 5th. Well, I'll tell you what, that brings back a lot of good memories right there.
Well, Lamar Hoyt had an unbelievable year. You saw Mike Squires in your picture.
A lot of memories. The team started off 14-26. Came back, won 99 ball games, and won a division by 20. Best chemistry I've ever seen on the ball club. And there's a curveball. 0-2 the count to Seth Smith. Smith struck out. Check swing.
Tyler Flowers went through his entire sequence of signs before John stepped off.
He gone. 5 strikeouts. And you can organize a group outing of 20 or more for a Sox game during the season and receive a savings off the individual game ticket price. You can enhance your outing by upgrading to our new Miller Lite bullpen party porch, pregame patio party, Diamond Suite, or one of our great party areas. So 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. It is the Bertucci Boys area, their domain. That's where they dwell. Bobby Bruno and Handsome Anthony. Want to know the count to Derek Norris. Derek went out to center field. Rosales on deck. 1-3-1 for their guys, 1-2-1 for our guys. Two balls and a strike. No walks.
To this point, John has worked his pitches very well. He's changed speeds. He's throwing a few more curveballs than we're used to seeing, and it's been very effective for him.
Off the end of the bat. Nice look. Hawthorne Woods hop. 2 down.
Rolled over on a changeup as Danks used the changeup to strike out Seth Smith. Used the changeup to get the little tapper to the left side against Norris. And there you see pitch number 66 forthcoming. So after that shaky first, he settled down. Allowed just 1 hit since the first inning. That the leadoff single by Fryman in the second.
Rosales struck out on a good changeup. Takes first pitch strike. So big White Sox hello to all our guys out in Scottsdale. Golf Club Scottsdale. Dave Fairman. Dave Warshot. And of course Paulie. Takes care of all of us. Beautiful, beautiful place. Two out, 1-1 to count.
Time now for the Xfinity Home from Comcast. Xfinity Home, get peace of mind. And there you see a homecoming for Adam Rosales, who's had a terrific series, including that solo home run in the 10th inning that won the ball game Thursday night. Get peace of mind with Xfinity Home, the total home security and home control solution.
Change up right off the end of the bat. Got plenty of time. Couldn't find the ears on it. Meanwhile, that's a 1-2-3 innings. Retired 12 in a row. We're halfway home. Tied at 1.
offensively, and in the third inning defensively. Coco Crisp up the middle. Gordon stays with it and throws out the very fleet Coco Crisp. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible.
Beckham, Flowers, and Diaza. Gordon went out deep to right center field. Takes a change-up strike.
That one right off Derek Norris. So James Hoy will take some time, dust off the plate.
And the count 0-2.
Try to make the cobwebs go away. See Jeff Manto in your picture, directly behind Norris. Catchers do take a beating, and you never get used to getting hit in the mask.
Fastball at 88. Tried to bust his bat. You'll see more bats broken with an 88 mile an hour fastball than you will with a 100 mile an hour fastball. One and two the count to Gordon.
More bats broken off the end of the bat or on the hand. Which one?
Oh, there's more off the fist. Yeah, a lot with off the end of the bat, especially with these maple bats. Maple bats, it's amazing how easy they are. But when you had the ash, very seldom ever saw one break off the end. It was most often off the handle. But maples, they'll get you both ways.
Is it because one of the reasons in this day and age are using thinner handles? I mean, you know,
yeah.
the object years ago was big handled bats.
Yeah.
Cut down on your strikeouts, go the other way. Today, not so much.
No, they're going to the light bats as Tyler. I'm talking big, strong guys using 32-inch bats, 32-ounce bats. To equate, say, 30 or 40 years ago, that same strength guy would probably be using 35 to 36, 37-ounce bats. I guess the formula was back in those days that you used his bat as heavy as your strength would allow because of the wood.
Now it's trying to generate more velocity through the hitting zone.
Well, those maple bats, you can absolutely square it up and shatter it. That's how brittle they are. But they're harder.
They're lively.
Oh, they're lively. Yeah, you get one, but I remember when Frank, the Big Hurt, was using the maple bat. First started using one. He hit one dead center in this ballpark. He just center cut it, and the bat exploded. I asked him, I was after the game, I said, "Where'd you hit that ball?" He said, "I hit it right on the screws." There's the old equalizer for Malone, the changeup. So 2 down. And that's his 5th strikeout. And you can visit participating Chicagoland Great Clips salons by June 14th for the Great Clips Summer Sweepstakes Code. Grand prize winner will throw out the first pitch on Mullet Night, Friday, June 28th, plus get 4 White Sox game tickets and 4 pregame patio party tickets. So Great Clips, it's going to be great.
Malone throws across his body, meaning that front foot steps closer to the first base side than the third base side. And that makes him deceptive. It also means, in his case, when he throws a straight change from the same release point as he throws his fastball and his slider, Very difficult to differentiate between the pitches.
Two out, 1-1 to count. That breaking ball.
Last year, Malone won 13 games. And almost unbelievably, this Oakland team had 54 games won by rookies last season. One of the reasons why they won 94 and won their division.
There's a two-hopper. Malone right where he should be. And an easy inning for him. Top of the order here in the top of the sixth for the Athletics. Crisp, Reddick, and Cespedes. Crisp 1 for 2 and was robbed of another base hit on a brilliant play by Beckham. One and one to count.
If John wants to keep this at a 1-1 tie, you have to retire this man at the top. Keppinger well off the line, a step in front of the bag at third. Crisp doesn't bunt all that often.
And in Toronto, they are tied going to the 15th inning. Change up, checks it up. And a count 3-1. Don't want to walk this guy. Full count.
He was taking all the way, knowing how important getting on base is with his speed.
Off the end of the bat. Nice little snap there by Johnny. Well, Coco Crisp is a smart player, and I would bet you a dozen golf balls he did that on his own.
I don't doubt it for a minute. Thinking that he's got to throw both pitches over the plate. And with the changeup, it's it right back at the feet of John Danks, who stays right with it and makes the play.
Not too many hitters are going to take a 3-1 on their own. Reddick pops it up. 2 down.
Today's game's available in Spanish on your SAP audio setting. It's provided by 97.5 FM ESPN Deportes, Chicago's first and only FM Spanish language sports radio station. Cespedes thinking about one thing here. 2 outs, nobody on. He's the most powerful guy in the middle of this order, and you can bet he's thinking about hitting it out of the ballpark. John has handled him very well so far.
Strike him out first time on a high fastball. Strike him out second time on a nice changer. And there's strike 1.
I think he surprised Cespedes with that fastball. It was probably the hardest that Johnny's thrown one at 91.
Yeah, that's the highest I've seen.
Yeah. And I think he was a little late on it.
That one at 88. Had him way out in front on that curveball. Beckham, nice inning right here for the top of their order, and we'll go to the bottom of the 6th, still tied at 1. Now, you don't want any of that. Party at Bacardi at the Park? Yeah, you'll take some of that. Open. That's open after every home game at USA Field at the Gay 5 Plaza. Bacardi at the Park. Grab your friends and give them a visit. That's Facilio Sil Process. Just ask for Sil, and he'll take care of it. Just joining us, they got a run in the first. We got a run in the second. Ours was a homer by Adam Dunn. And here is Alexei, who was grounded to short, popped up the second. Nubs that one foul.
Outfield shading well around toward right center field for Alexei. Huge gap in left center, and Cespedes well off the line and left.
And that's off the fist. Lowry. So 1 out. Bring up Rios. Alex was struck out on 3 pitches. Called out. and popped to second.
Detroit all over Cleveland once again, leading 6-1 at the bottom of the fourth. But bad news for their central foes. Prince Fielder has really started to heat it up. 3 runs driven in today. He's got 51 for the year. And Cabrera and Fielder at 3 and 4, as good as there is in baseball.
Yeah. Victor Martinez is starting to heat it up too. 3 home runs first 6 games.
And Austin Jackson just about ready to go out on an injury rehab, which for Detroit is good, for everybody else not so good.
Ball gets away. He's got plenty of time. Takes it, makes it. 2 down. So that is strikeout number 6 for Malone. And you can join the 2013 Sox Pride Club, the official online fan club of White Sox baseball, for members only ticket opportunities, a special membership gift, and commemorative photo, as well as exclusive perks throughout the season. All that and more for $29.95. So visit www.soxprideclub.com to join today. Here's Paulie. Paulie 1 for 2. They have 3 hits. We have 2 of them. Takes a high strike. Texas did not score in the top of the 15th. And there's a line drive caught by Lowry, and we're into the 7th. Top of the 7th inning in this 1-1 tie. Donaldson, Lowry, and Fryman to face. Johnny Danks was retired 15 in a row. Curveball strike. Donaldson singled in a run. That was Coco Crisp back in the 1st inning. Then he grounded to 3rd in the 4th. Grand slam homer yesterday to win. There's another curveball. There was one that was a good pitch to hit. Fortunately, he fouled it back.
This is a rolling curveball. And normally If a hitter can stay back long enough, this one's hit hard.
He gone. One out. And there you see, two-time Gold Glove Award winner, former teammate of mine. At one time, just the best-looking young catcher outside of Johnny Bench. Best-looking young catcher in the big leagues. Ray Fosse, who's become a tremendous announcer. 28th year with the Athletics. And Glenn Kuiper do a terrific job. That's into right field. Lowry now 0 for 3. And MLB TV celebrates 11 years with new low yearly prices. Watch out. Watch out for every market game. Over 350 supported mobile and connected devices in HD quality. So visit MLB TV to order and get more details. MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere. $23,735. Beautiful day here in the city. Beautiful. Ryman did a little semi-duck snort for a base hit in the second inning. And he grounded to third in the fourth.
A pretty good plate coverage, but he hasn't shown a whole lot of power for a guy who did show some power in the minor leagues. He's a guy that was selected in Rule 5 draft once. He was plucked off waivers by this Oakland team. Along with Brandon Moss, he's given them their platoon system at first. They've got one behind the plate, Jaso and Norris.
6'8", 250 pounds. Tries to back up that changeup with a high fastball. 2-2. And a full count.
Bob Melvin has had his hands full now that Reddick is back, trying to make playing time for 5 outfielders. Tough to get each and every one of them enough at bats. But Seth Smith in the lineup today.
Jammed him, pushed the bat. And that is 18 in a row retired by Johnny Danks, and we're still tied at 1. Five hits in this ball game. And they got 2 of them in the first inning, 1 in the second. Since that base hit by Fryman leading off the second, Johnny Danks has retired everybody he has seen, which means that's 18 in a row. So we got a couple of left-handers out there featuring changeups today. And for all you youngsters out there in high school and college who are aspiring to pitch in the big leagues, This is an absolute great game for you guys to be watching. Stevie, you didn't have that pleasure when you were in high school and college of seeing baseball anytime you wanted to see it.
No, not like today. Not with MLB.com, where you can see all games in baseball. Certainly you can follow your team anywhere they go. That MLB package is just terrific, especially those of you that have the iPad. And you get to see stars of both leagues. That's a great part about it.
Yeah, you can pick out, as a youngster in high school or college, you can pick out a guy that you feel like you're similar to in stuff and ability, fastball. Say you're 85 to 90. Then you can find a game on there that you can find a guy who's throwing 85 to 90. Featuring change-ups, which they have to if they're throwing 85 to 90.
You better have a change-up.
A good one, too. And for the hitters, the same thing. Your favorite hitters you can watch and see how they do things at the plate.
Well, the fastest pitch either of these two guys have thrown today is 91 miles an hour, and Johnny's got there one time.
That's the only one that I've seen. Checks it up. He did not go. So 2-2 to count. So with that home run in the second.
And with only 5 hits combined, you'd have to say both pitchers dominating in a very similar way.
And there's a shot for a base hit. Get by him. Reddick is a good one out there. Made a good play to get it in. And boy, I'll tell you what, it's a good thing he pulled up. That's a beautiful play by Josh Reddick to hold him to a single.
This ball hit awfully hard, and it looked like a high slider. We're not going to run on Reddick. He is the most accurate of the corner men on this team. Might not have as strong an arm as Cespedes, but he makes up for it by very rarely making a bad throw.
Here's Tank. Tank 0 for 2. Chops that one down.
And now, because of the 3 o'clock start, the pitcher in bright sunshine, the hitter immersed in the shadows, making visibility not all that great, which is a good reason why it's a wonderful time to score at least one.
Totals on the board identical at 1-3-1.
Sox bullpen up and going for the first time today.
But, getting back to watching big league games, though, if I were a strong young hitter today, I would watch every Tiger game I could. I would see how Miguel Cabrera went about his business.
It's pretty awesome if you have that kind of coverage.
Well, that's why you'd watch it. That's why I would watch it, to see just how great he covers the outside part of the plate, especially against certain pitchers and especially against certain counts. I think he's the smartest hitter in the game, period.
Well, what's real interesting from a pitching standpoint is a lot of pitchers want to go to his weakness the first time up if he comes up with 2 out, nobody on. You go to his weakness, you might get him out. Try to go back there later in a key situation, and he gets you.
Crisp. That is out number 1.
And Jerry Blevins loosening up in the bullpen. He's a mere 5-0 this year. And on the other side of the field, the guy who has been close to unhittable for the better part of a month and a half, Jesse Crain. Jesse missed the entire spring training. Had a groin problem. Threw a couple of times before the season started. Started out maybe not quite as good with the fastball. Lately, nobody can hit him.
So here is Cappinger. Takes a strike. Yeah, if I had a son who was in high school or college and was a strong right-handed hitter, I would get him an iPad and I would get him that MLB program, MLB baseball, and let him watch every Tiger game.
Well,
0-2.
I'm not sure if I'd make my son a baseball player or not, but I'm thinking of adopting LeBron James.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I do believe
that's a great concept.
Yeah, I believe that he could keep me to the style to which I'd like to become accustomed.
The 0-2 pitch.
We're playing Keppinger toward right center field. Again with the gap in left center and down the line in left. We pan around, we show you the defense.
Gap out there in left center if he can find it. There's one down into the left field area, so the big man's going to make the turn, and now he'll pull up as Cespedes gets to it, and it's a good thing he did. So 2 good arms on the corners here have saved Adam Dunn from at least being on third and possibly scoring.
And the worst part about the 2 hits was they went to their 2 best throwers. And Cespedes gets to this ball quickly. He was playing well off the line as we showed you. So you can't even think about going to third on him. And if Gordon can deliver a base hit here, it's best to deliver it to center field and let Crisp get his hands on it, notably get his arm under it.
Gordon has gone out deep to center and grounded to first. Takes that breaking ball strike.
Good secondary lead at first base is essential for Jeff Keppinger. He's got Fryman well off the bag, and on a ground ball in the infield, he's got to get down and break up 2, keep the inning alive.
There's that changeup right off the end of the bat, nubbed.
Good changeup low and out over the plate. But Gordon, and it's tough to recognize that changeup. He was out in front of it and couldn't do anything with it. So the view from the blimp shows a go-ahead run out at second base.
And that ball into right field, and it's going to be foul. Good thing, because if it's fair, Reddick's going to catch it.
Reddick came over from the Boston Red Sox in the deal with the Red Sox looking for a closer. With Jonathan Papelbon on the way to Philadelphia, they wanted Andrew Bailey, who hurt himself in his first spring training with the Sox. It would have been a terrific trade for both teams. Now Bailey is back throwing well, and Reddick had a banner year last year for these A's.
Gap out there in left center.
It looks like Pat Neshek now throwing in the bullpen for Oakland.
How can you tell?
How can you tell with that motion?
Just got a piece of it.
That ball well inside as Malone wanting to back up some off-speed pitches, trying to heat him up in. And Gordon just able to foul it off. So you see Blevins, the left-hander on the left, and Neshek with that most unusual motion on the right.
Right-handed Kelly Wunsch. Just did get a piece of that one. Kelly Wunsch from the Sox southpaw, who was conventional because he wasn't doing anything, changed his motion and got to the big leagues.
That's a whole lot of pitches right now for Malone. I'm kind of surprised that neither Rosales or Lowry paying any attention to Adam Dunn, because he's getting an extra 3 steps on the lead, and that could turn into a run.
Got him. So now it's up to Tyler Flowers with 2 out.
Seven strikeouts, another changeup. And Gordon well out in front of this one.
Tyler has looped out to center and struck out. Takes it right there. Last thing he was looking for was a fastball on the inside corner.
And Malone, who's been able to dot both corners with his fastball, has fanned one man every inning. Two pretty good pitches, 2 fastballs. Some pretty impressive numbers on both sides of the equation today, and just an outstanding pitcher's duel.
One and 2 the count.
You can see the shadows definitively from our blimp shot.
And they are into the 17th inning in Toronto. Tied at 3. That fastball that 88 hit him on the fist.
Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DIRECT-TV. And with Toronto coming here to play Monday night, you don't mind them going 30 innings today.
Good eye right there. Close pitch.
Xfinity Pitch Tracks. See where the 5 appears. Well framed by Derek Norris. But on a borderline pitch, it went Tyler's way.
2 on, 2 out, the 2-2 pitch. Pops him up, jams him. And Lowry stays with it to make the catch and retire our threat. We're into the 8th, still tied at 1.
Home run in the second. John Danks has been absolutely brilliant, retiring 18 in a row. Each team with an air in a 1-1 game. They're Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealers, as reliable as the cars themselves.
That ball, first pitch into left field, fighting that sun.
He didn't see that ball at the end. He just put up his glove and kept it in the area he thought the ball would be in and made the catch.
Well, he doesn't know how to get an angle, and it's not his fault because he is originally an infielder, and it's hard to teach. It's really hard. The only thing you can do is talk to him about it. It's hard to teach a young guy to get an angle in the outfield in the sun. Meanwhile, Smith was retired. That's one out. And here's Norris. Bit hard but foul.
Keppinger is right on top of the line. It's late in the ball game. It's a no double set. Outfield deep all the way around, and you see ball is going to have a hard time getting between Keppinger and the line.
A little soft line drive to Adam. You know, in my whole career in this game, from the minor leagues all the way up to, I have never seen coaches work with an outfielder on how to try to get an angle into the sun. I've seen them talk to him, but I have never seen them take an outfielder out when the sun was low and work with him.
Especially tough in this ballpark with the game starting when it did and the sun going down in the west. Left field becomes a problem. At this time of year, right field, not so much. But Viciedo staring right up into a setting sun.
And he's got another one. Stays with it, makes the catch. Yes. Beautiful play by Tank, and that'll retire the side. And also 21 consecutive hitters retired by Danks.
We're back with a new pitcher, and it's Sean Doolittle, a hard-throwing left-hander. He's 3-0 ERA, a little above 3 on for the 28th time. Opponent's hitting just 196. As you can see, 4 walks, 26 strikeouts. And an excellent job by Malone. He went 7 innings, gave up a run on 4 hits with just 1 walk. He walked Diaza to lead off the game. Didn't walk anybody else. Fanning 7. So Doolittle will face the top part of the order.
Well, listen, if you're going to have a change, this is the kind of guy you want, for the most part, featuring fastballs with this light, with this time of day in the shadows. I love to watch Tommy Malone pitch. I love to watch guys like that. So here's Diaza. Takes first pitch strike. I'll watch him sometimes on my iPad when he's pitching. Love to watch guys who won't hit 90 and pitch a good ball game.
Well, you watch one for a long time here in Mark Burley.
Oh, sure. And the count 0-2.
One of the big problems after looking at Malone for 7 innings. Then Doolittle comes in. He's throwing 95, 96, and it looks a whole lot quicker than that.
Slowly hit. Got to hurry, does Lowry. Can't get him. Good try by Lowry. Meanwhile, leadoff man aboard.
Best part of that for Diaza was he shattered his bat, and that slowed the ball down enough to be able to beat it at first. And Melvin's coming out. He thinks that John Hirschbeck might have missed that call. It was bang bang at first, and we'll slow it down. The shattered bat, Diaza hustling. And he's actually out, I think. It's very close, tough to make the call either way. And if there is such a thing as a tie, it goes to the runner. It appeared they got him, however.
So here's Alexei. He's 0 for 3 today and 0 for 2 against Doolittle. Now time is called. Let's make something happen. Let's do this right here.
Donaldson's coming in to talk to Doolittle about the bunt possibility. And with
I hope not.
Yeah, with a similar situation. Ramirez last night. First and second, nobody out. Called upon a sacrifice, popped it up.
Come on, Alexei. Catch the ball with the bat.
And don't, under any circumstances, drop the head of the bat.
Well, if you catch it, if you think about catching the ball with the bat, you're not going to drop the head. If you think about hitting or bunting at it, you will drop the head. Takes a low strike.
Well, if Alexei gets an inside fastball and can't get out of the way, he's going to wind up with broken fingers because he is wrapping the right hand around the bat instead of cradling it between his index finger and his thumb. Your fingers shouldn't be there.
Hey, he got it down. And that'll get the job done. Nice. Sacrifice. 1-4.
In a bunt situation, pitchers are taught to keep the fastball up. He keeps it down, making the job a whole lot easier, but it's a beautiful bunt by Ramirez, forcing Doolittle to have only one play. So that's the go-ahead run out at second with good speed and Diaza.
Pick him up, Alex. Alex 0 for 3 today against Malone with a couple of strikeouts. Looking for it, got it at 97 and fouls it away.
Well, your old friend Ray Fosse had a few words for Doolittle that he doesn't appear to be adhering to, and that is with a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball, don't be afraid to consistently throw it letter high because a hitter will have all kinds of problems catching up to it. He said, but if you throw it down in the zone, it's an easier path to the baseball, and he told Doolittle that's where you're going to get hurt.
Well, that's where the pitching coach has got to tell Doolittle that, because hitters, well, Doolittle was a hitter. He should know. He should know it's a lot harder to hit a high 97-mile-an-hour fastball than it is a low one.
Well, he was a decent hitter. He had 305 in 2008 at Stockton. 18 home runs, 61 driven in. Then got hurt. Then worked on his throwing. And then they realized that he had a great arm.
Big pitch here, the 1-1. Now he'll step off as Lowry was over there.
Addison Reed throwing in the pen. In case the run does score this inning.
There's a base hit. They're going to wave him around. They're going to make him throw him out again. He doesn't. He's safe. He's safe. And the Sox lead it 2-1. Alex Rios. Mercy. Tobin Ewing.
RBI number 32, and with the ball relatively slowly hit as it gets to Reddick, Joe figured it's worth a shot. This fastball just below the waist, and Reddick comes up, but this time it's not a one-hopper to Norris. It's a two-hopper, and it's wide of the plate. Diaz with terrific speed, scoring easily. And Alex Rios, as he's done all year, coming through with a big hit.
Don't stop now, boys, as here's Paulie. Paulie 1 for 3. That ball hit hard. Stay fair. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. A 2-run blast by Konerko, and the Sox lead it 4-1.
Number 6, RBIs 22 and 23, as Doolittle stays down and Paulie hits it out. That fastball down, just exactly what Ray Fosse warned him against, and it comes back to haunt him on a 2-run blast, a 3-run lead, and plenty of cushion for Addison Reed and the Sox.
Well, as we said, this is the kind of guy you want to come in when the lighting's like this, somebody that's straight and likes to throw fastballs.
Ball crushed that one. That was a line drive, no doubter.
Adam takes that breaking ball. He's 2 for 3 with a homer. That homer leading off the second inning. Jacks it up. Hitters, when that shadow gets out there this time of day, they don't want anything spinning or curving. They want something straight. And that's ball 4.
Going to bring Bob Melvin out. Most likely that will end the performance of Sean Doolittle, who we've tagged for the second time in the season series, and very few other people have been able to deal with him. So Doolittle will leave, and we'll step out and be back after these messages. For the 25th time, he inherits Adam Dunn at first base in a 4-1 game.
Paulie now 428 home runs, 44th all time. And they are into the 18th inning in Toronto. Come on, Tank. Get yourself a knock. Right back up to the bag, steps on it, and ball gets away. Low throw by Lowry.
Keeps the inning alive as Fryman couldn't scoop it out of the dirt. And we'll see a pinch runner for Viciedo. It's Jordan Danks coming out.
So for the third straight game in this series, we have had a 3-run lead.
This is a little later than the previous two.
Four, 7-1 for us, 1, 3-1 for them. Johnny Danks retired the last 21 hitters he saw. Gave up a run and 2 hits in the first. Leadoff single, soft little semi-duck snort by Fryman in the second, and that was it. No other walks, no other hits. There's a strike. Kevinger, 1 for 3. There he goes. And that pitch is popped up. But a crooked number goes up on that board. RBI single by Rios. A 2-run homer by Konerko. We lead it 4-1.
Largely swollen because of that 5-run 14th in Seattle. Other than that, 17 for 18 in save opportunities. He'll be looking for number 18 here today. So Jordan Danks stays in the game in center field. That shifts Diaza over to left field. As the Sox, with 3 outs, will defeat Oakland for the first time this year.
Top of the order, Chris, Reddick, and Cespedes. First pitch strike. Chris, 1 for 3. Robbed of another hit. Just a beautiful play by Beckham. Change up, no. Ball hit hard. Watch out.
Ty Waller came very close, taking that one right off the top of his head.
Ball and 2 strikes to the 33-year-old veteran.
Got to be heads up if you're going to coach.
Two and 2.
Johnny Daggs went 8, gave up a run on 3 hits, walked 1, fanned 6. Retired 21 straight after the base hit by Fryman in the second.
No walks. Come on, Allison.
The last time Daggs went 8 innings was on the 23rd of August of 2011. 4 days later, he went the distance on the 27th, and this is the longest outing since then.
And there's the base hit. It's off the off's fist, so the leadoff man aboard. Well, one thing we have seen from Oakland, the first 5 games of the year, they're not going to quit. That second game out there, we led them 3-2 going to the bottom of the 7th inning, and they won it 4-3, but we gave them that game. Won 4-3 in 10 innings. Daggs deep in center. There he goes.
Well, no chance to get Crisp, who steals his 13th. They weren't paying a whole lot of attention to him, so he took off. And no chance at all for Tyler Flowers. Gets a huge jump. Lexi can't corral the throw.
Ball's hit hard but foul. To the 18th inning now, bottom of the 18th in Toronto. 1-2 pitch. Cespedes on deck. Take him right here. Don't go full. Softly hit. 1 out. That's a good thing he stole. Or that would have been a base hit. So here's Cespedes. He's 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a pop up to second.
And Robin, upon his return to the ball club after a couple days off to watch his daughter graduate from high school, trying to help secure this win.
Pretty good pitch, didn't get it. And there's a strike with a slider. And that pitch is popped up, playable. Adam, 2 down.
Here's our Miller Lite play of the game, and it's Alex Rios going the opposite way. Diaza outrunning the arm of Reddick, and that set the stage for a 2-run homer and a 3-run lead.
And here's a man we've been looking for since 3:10 this afternoon. Josh Donaldson's 1 for 3 with an RBI. First pitch strike. Oh, 0-2 the count.
One more strike makes a winner out of John Danks and a loser out of Sean Doolittle for the first time this year.
Tyler to the outside. And that's a souvenir upper tank. Blue Jays have just won that game in the bottom of the 18th inning. But right here, 2 out and the 0-2 pitch. And another souvenir. Ground ball. Alexei. Yes, and this ball game is over. So the Sox get on the board in the series against the A's. They win it 4-1, and we'll be back.